Today, we are simply going to talk about Blizzard's new implementation of their kind of resources that they have for players in game. Their combat resources, I guess is what we'll call it. Specifically, I want to talk about the updates to the cooldown manager. It's been a while since I've actually talked about this. They have been making some pretty good improvements that we saw in this most recent build of Alpha. Of course, it'll never replace weak auras and the functionality of them, but I want to showcase the thing that they implemented this week, which is you can actually set sound alerts to specific buttons. And I'm going to attempt to kind of showcase how that works. So by enabling the cooldown manager, you can do this in settings, gameplay enhancements, and then you're going to be able to enable cooldown manager. And then when you go into advanced cooldown settings, you're going to be able to see cooldowns, both essential CDs as well as utility CDs, and you can move things around to not displayed. So if I don't want to track provoke, I can move, provoke out, and it's no longer going to be displayed in my CDs. If I don't want to track detox for some reason, I can move that and have it not be shown. This is all something that these are things that have been implemented already that I think most players who are keeping up on it are aware of. Now, what's interesting is that Blizzard has added in this recent build the ability to, well, I believe this right click functionality actually didn't exist. I think you had a drag and drop, but now you can just right click and say remove from bar and it puts it down here. But you can see here it says new alert. And so if I click new alert here, I can now pick the type, which is sound, but since there's a drop down, I'd imagine that there's a potential for them to add more types, maybe text, maybe a glow, not quite sure, but they might be adding some functionality here. It'll also have a drop down for when. So it's when it becomes available, when it is within the pandemic window. If you're not familiar with what pandemic is, basically, let's say you have a dot that lasts for 10 seconds. But if you reapply it within a certain window, let's say within the final 2 seconds, those last 2 seconds will get added to the dot, pushing it up to 12. So essentially you can cast it between 2 and 0 seconds remaining, and that damage is not wasted. This is a pretty important thing for people who obviously min-max their damage. And for high-end players, this has been a thing that I've heard a lot of people cry about. And when I say cry, I mean have voiced their concerns that not being able to track pandemic as dot-based classes, like Boomkins, Warlock, Feral Druids, maybe even Sin Rogues, was obviously a little frustrating. You can also do a sound alert when it goes on cooldown. I don't know when this would be useful. Maybe like for specific like cheat death things, like if you're, your Battle-Scarred Veteran procs or your Purgatory procs, maybe things like that would be good for. And then you can also do it when you gain a charge of something. So for me, when I gain a charge of Purifying Brew, I can set a sound alert to it. So I have gone ahead and I have this thing that that noise is what I have assigned to my Breath of Fire whenever it becomes available. I think some of the sounds in the kit currently feel like flat. I don't know how to describe it, but that did not sound like a chicken, despite it being a chicken sound alert. So there's actually a lot of different options you can do from. So here's bell ring. Oh, never mind. Apply changes. And then we have bell ring. So that sounds kind of okay. What else do we have? We have a knoll. Let's do this. Let's see what knoll sounds like. What the fuck, dude? Okay. Dude, that would get me giggling so hard. There are some other kind of options in here as well. So there's things like magic shimmer. If we apply these changes. Ooh, that's pretty. So yeah, there's a ton of different options. Now, one thing that I would like to see Blizzard add is the option to showcase what those sounds sound like in a preview before having to click apply and then click on Breath of Fire and then click on the alert setting. That's the one thing I'd like. There's also text to speech here, which I think some players would like.
Breath of Fire.
Except it just sounds like a really dull white guy.
Breath of Fire.
It sounds like that sounds super AI, but yeah, you can do text to speech as well. Now, personally, I think this will get pretty obnoxious in combat. Like if you replicated this exact alert setting, every time you keg smash with the current build that I'm running, where I'm playing with a thing called South Salvum Strength, that resets keg smash whenever resets Breath of Fire whenever I cast keg smash. So if I cast Breath and then cast my Keg Smash, it's going to reset Breath, making that sound alert go off.
Breath of fire. Breath of fire. Breath of fire. Breath of fire.
Yeah, that's crazy obnoxious. So, yeah, I don't think that is, I don't think that
Breath of fire.
this exact WeakOr is, or not, I keep calling it WeakOr. This exact setting is going to be super useful, but you now have some type of audio alerts in play that you can utilize if you need those types of reminders for specific things. So if you want to get notified when your major CDs come off of cooldown, like Fortifying Brew, Exploding Keg, Nizao, or if you're playing any other class, you can have it notify you when those abilities become available again. You can also make these settings for different tracked debuffs or debuffs, or debuffs or buffs. There we go. So you can come into here to like Counter-Strike. Actually, Counter-Strike's probably not the best. Maybe Charred Passions I should do. So we have Charred Passions here. Let's get a new alert for it. Like, I don't even know how to do this because there's no pandemic for it. It doesn't have a cooldown. Yeah, I don't really know what to do with this one. What could I do? Blackout Kick? You can do like when it's available, you can have it play a sound like a low thud. Sure, why don't we do that? What does that sound like? Oh, I did it for the wrong thing. This is goofy to play with. New alert, low thud, add alert. See, that's like too long of a, like, I feel like sound alert should be quick. Like, it should be like a chime or a thud. Like, it shouldn't be a thud, you know? Maybe that's just me. So, whenever I gain blackout combo, it should make that noise, which would be terrible, by the way. Oh, maybe not. Oh, you know what I think I found out? I think you have to have hold on. Where is it? Is it this? No. Tracked buffs. Okay. I believe you have to have this being shown as always visible before it actually plays. No, maybe not. I gained it. So this is what's weird about this, is you kind of have to mess around, edit when charge gained, maybe? Maybe that's it. We're going to blackout kick here. Bam. Nope. That's not it either. So yeah, I don't really know. It should be playing, but so yeah, it seems like it's not really working with debuffs right now. It can't be pandemic. There's no way. Yeah, I'm not quite sure.
Breath of fire.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, that is basically what they have added in this recent build. Clearly, there's still a long way to go. I'm not someone who generally plays with game sounds, or kind of, which again is probably a pretty big blunder on my part. I think having auditory signals about certain things in the game are really good. I generally don't use them, but I think them being available is nice. But since I don't really have a lot of experience playing with a bunch of different sounds, especially parts of like WeakOras, I don't know what people want to see. I think they have a fair bit of like sound options here. I'm not going to go through every single one. It would be nice personally if they added glow alerts. I don't even know if they want to, but I personally, that's what I like to use. I like to use glows because they make it, I'm more of a visual person when it comes to playing this game, where all of my WeakOras that I've been using, or all of my add-ons, are more visual than sound-based. The only change, like I'd say, is besides adding additional types, so again, glows or some type of like text on screen or something like alert, I think they could add stuff there. And then, of course, the sounds. I'd like to be able to preview what the sound is before having to like add the alert and then come in here and view it. So yeah, I think that's not too shabby. So one other thing that WoW had posted an article about earlier today. First look at Blizzard's in-game damage meters in Midnight. So just to be clear, and they have a big warning here, it is incomplete at the moment. However, we can still kind of showcase the options. So let me kind of show you guys what that looks like here. So if we're in game and we go to edit mode, you can actually see the damage meter up in the corner here, but we can't do anything with it currently. Even if we have it as always visible, it's just, it's not going to show. But we can at least mess around with the settings. And so you can change the style from default to thin. It's not going to change though here, as you can probably see. There's numbers that are minimal, compact, and complete. You can change the frame width and height, as well as the padding, I'm assuming, between each of the bars. And then you can have it when it's visible. So always visible, in combat hidden. This is some default features that we've seen before. You can lock scroll, and then you can enable or disable these spell and class icons. Now, as of now, I believe that's the only features that we have access to. This article by WoWhead, which I will leave down below, has pointed out what you're able to see. So we're only going to be able to see damage done and DPS, so damage per second, and total damage done, as well as HPS and healing done. Beyond that, they also pointed out some things that are currently missing that we currently have on live when we're using an add-on like details or recounts, or if that even exists anymore. Do you guys remember SCADA? Holy shit. So what's missing? We have noticed that there is a missing elements in terms of interrupt tracking, death log, dispel tracking, damage taken, enemy healing done, and enemy damage taken. And these are obviously important metrics to be able to view, not necessarily during combat, but to help problem solve after a raid wipe or a dungeon kind of goes awry. These things are important, and obviously the more information, the better. I'm sure some people will say like, well, you don't actually need it, but it's the more the merrier. And then if you're someone who doesn't look at the stuff, you're just going to continue not looking at it. But for someone who is trying to problem solve issues that happen in a key or a raid, these types of things are extremely important without having to use an external tool like Warcraft logs. I'd rather have it in game being able to be seen. I'm sure Blizzard can quickly add these. So like, again, it's not even complete on alpha right now. So time will tell. Personally, from these screenshots, as well as being able to see it in game here, it's not terrible. I'm excited to see how small and narrow, or like how wide or narrow we can actually make the window, because I think this window is a little big for my liking, especially if you want multiple of them on your screen. I know most players, at least, and when I say most, I mean people within my circle, generally will play with two. They show damage and healing, or damage and damage taken, or they show like overall DPS and like DPS from pull to pull, stuff like that. So most people will probably have more than one window. I believe, I don't know where I saw it, maybe it was in this article, maybe it was somewhere else, but I believe you can have up to 3 windows active. On actual window stuff, we have a couple options. At baseline, you can create new windows, but only up to a maximum of 3. Okay, so it said it in this article. I don't know where they found the add new. Maybe if they were, see, like it won't, so I don't think it's in my setting, like damage meter interface. Is it in here? Normally these types of things are searchable. Yeah, I'm not quite sure where it's located. Maybe I'm dumb. Maybe it's, yeah, I might just be dumb. But basically, you can have up to 3 windows, which I think is plenty. I don't know who would ever have more than 3 damage meters on their UI. So yeah, yeah, those are the updates to what Blizzard is doing with the in-game kind of combat UI. Again, I think it's a step in the right direction. I've had criticisms about their nameplates and about obviously a lot of missing features. Of course, nothing will ever replace weak auras, but I think adding this kind of functionality into the game is good. Whether you're someone who likes add-ons or doesn't like add-ons or wants them all to burn in hell, adding more functionality for players who want to partake in it is much better, all being within the game, in my opinion. Someone's going to get mad at me. Than not having it at all and requiring people to go to third-party sites. So I applaud Blizzard for trying. Things are coming along. It's obviously still fairly early. It's phase 3 of alpha, so time will tell. Anyways, I don't want to rant on too much. Those are, I think, the 2 biggest things that were implemented this week that I wanted to talk about. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions down below. If there's anything that you maybe saw me scroll through but like not talk about, and you want to see me cover in a future video, I'm definitely more than happy to like test things out and, you know, report back. So yeah, just let me know, and I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.